In this real-side experience, I would find myself in the presence of other individuals. That impressions revealed were those also on their respective processes of awareness. It seemed that we were putting on a show of a kind, as gathered would be a large assortment of various body types and species, that were as though the audience to the performance we were providing for them. The simulated visuals of our performance or show were rather difficult for the personal self to comprehend, as though the alien body forms present as the audience were of a particular that what we were presenting was designed to cater to the consciousnesses of the various species, consciousnesses that were rather different in relation to humanity, and so the literal references we would have utilized for, say, the average human, that our message be conveyed through our performance, were altogether different for these various alien body types. The real awareness would afford an impression overview as to the nature of our show, that being a breakdown of the creational simulators, their cause and effect mechanic and design, and all references pertaining to the various life levels with their corresponding body vehicles, and the reptilian self-proclaimed gods that lorded over them. Included would be the references in regards to the Real UNUversis of the true reality, the real awareness that is a part of the all-is, and the real purpose, that being the recognizing of this true reality from the comparison that the creational simulators provide. That although the literal references will be consistent regardless of the body forms that awareness is operating through, as I said, each species will have its own uniquely developed consciousness, and where the presenting of the real references and real education needs be adjusted accordingly, that it be received and comprehended by our audience. An audience which represented a vast array of various species, all of which were at the very least willing to be receptive to what the group and I were divulging. Many of the species present would indeed take the next step, as impressions further suggested, embracing their awareness processes and joining the multitudes of body types and other species that already have at this moment set an intent with the recognition of the ears. The personal self alone would have been unable to execute such a presentation, one that was designed that all in attendance could understand what we were sharing, as my personal self can only draw upon the references and experiences it has available through the current lifetime memory body, and as a human these would not include the ability to interact with the array of various alien species in attendance in this experience. The real awareness, however, as part of the isness everything reality that animates through all consciousness, alien species included, so all the diversity of consciousness constructs and the ideas they comprise of are available to the real awareness, and as such, successful interaction and engaging with all species, irrespective of language or consciousness design, is made possible. And the simulated forms the real awareness animates through in such situations are thus operated that such deliveries of references and informations can be carried out with effortless ease. As I said, from the personal self perspective, virtually the entirety of our delivery was nonsensical, but however very vivid, impacting, and colourful, a veritable feast for the eyes. At one point, so would a huge glowing being of light manifest part way through our performance. No impressions were supplied as to who this being was, but seemed it had an integral part to play as our show rolled on, and was seemingly well received by our audience of agreeable and stepping up alien species. Maybe the light being was a guide, or even a true silent one. But regardless, the group and I, through our Real Awareness's orchestration, which ensured our show was as compelling and awareness-provoking as it could have been, so would this be positively impacting on our rapt audience of various alien species, and we would impress upon them the reality of the real purpose is recognition and an overview of all the general themes and situations transpiring in creation at this moment. As the real side then constantly reveals, body types and species, the length and breadth of creation are stepping up and deciding to become more aware, and for all those that do, so they join the new friends and those already on their awareness processes in an unceasing effort to share the new you sound, the reality of the guides and the all-is across multi-dimensional creation in whatever creative means they are able, including then this other dimensional show that the group and I produced for the benefit of these various alien species. In a scene that followed, a group and myself had infiltrated what was a large dark force skyscraper-style building. We had disguised ourselves as the building's maintenance crew, and coordinating our efforts by maintaining constant communication through small lapel-attached devices. We were actually sabotaging the building, specifically in its ability to run smoothly. We were severing wiring, jamming the lifts, which allowed ease of transition from floor to floor, deactivating and fusing the electrics and circuit boards and so forth. Everything simulated represents an idea, for it is the ideas that are decoded and presented via the body-vehicle mechanics that become as the simulation we experience. That for everything we experience on the surface, underlying it all are the ideas that affect it, and buildings also will represent ideas. The dark forces are unceasing in their distorted creations. Everything they formulate begins, as all ideas will, on the real side, and then, as agreement is secured, so these ideas become physical level manifest and present as the controlling mechanisms they will ultimately serve as all dark force creations will be for the purposes of. Very often then, new friends are deployed to as though dismantle these real side ideas before they are fully formulated and can then be agreed with and be then the restrictions they were designed to serve as. That although every being has the free will to create whatever they will, and in reality what is created cannot impact any other unless it is agreed with, so really it is the agreeable recipients of the restricting affording idea that are deciding to experience such. Nevertheless, the nature of restriction and controlling ideas is self-destructive, as everything equals itself. All idea distortion, control, and restriction will implode in on itself, hence the simulator demise spiral, through the overall consciousness affecting it being of a distorted, constricting nature. And so, as we choose to dismantle these dark force controlling intended creations, we are not interfering with free will, we are simply the delivery mechanism for the self-implosion effects such ideas would have become anyway. That instead of letting the creation be completed, agreed with, cause its controlling damage, and implode as it would at a later moment, we simply are accelerating to the effect of fallout absent of the destruction it would have wrought. And this was the essence of our operation here. This was one of many dark force creations in the process of being conceived, and we were shutting it down, presented in this way as our nullifying its ability to function, through the sabotaging of all technology in relation to it. Despite our guises as a maintenance crew, we would have much by way of a confrontation. Necessary then for us to be creative in our explanations as to our sabotaging if caught in the act. We had to neutralize a few threats as we became embroiled in the altercations that we did, a few entertaining instances of being chased by various dark force agents, but ultimately our operation was a success. We had effectively rendered the building electrically powerless, representing that it no longer presented as a viable idea mechanism for agreement gleaning through which control could be exacted and expressed on the physical level. The idea was dead in its real side tracks.